Podcasting. I mentioned in the talk about sort of moving away from scale. There's so many big podcasts out there where you can reach 400,000 people in one episode, but actually where the real value and the relatability is the smaller niches. You look at the success of TikTok, that's because of the sort of small micro communities that have been built within the network. So like knitting community, for example, that is not for me at all, but for people that love knitting, they're all over it. And for any knitting brands, it's a really perfect community and environment. And tapping into that in the podcast space, moving away from the top 10 ones and finding something like a football podcast, which has 70 loyal listeners that listen every week, that's far more valuable when they actually go to recommend a product and a service. Yeah, it was good. There were some really good people up there with me. I know them all sort of from the industry, but it's nice to sort of have a bit of a think about what is kind of the next thing for podcasting. I was having a bit of a think last night, and it was sort of, I have no idea, to be honest, but I was thinking, well, with all the transcription models and stuff like that, maybe the next step for podcasts is actually people start to read them, and then was like, well, that's just full circle, that's a book. So there's lots that is going to come out of the next few years. It will be video, of course it will, but actually knowing where we end up in a year's time is exciting, and I don't think we know. One of the things with events like this is it brings a lot of sort of experts in, say, audio for this one all together, and that is great, but what we need is the people that don't necessarily know as much about audio, because it can sometimes with these kind of events be a bit of a pat on the back for everyone, whereas what we need is people to come to it that aren't necessarily that au fait with audio. Maybe it's media agencies that have print teams and stuff like that that don't understand or don't value the audio side of the business, that need to understand why it is powerful, why it is useful, and why it should be on media plans. I've really enjoyed today. The mix of people is really diverse in terms of agencies, it's media owners, it's creators. There's sort of everyone here, whereas some events can be a bit more skewed towards creators. So it's a really nice balance, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Future of audio.